This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with Conscious Living, Design and Build. Since 2022, this Colorado and Texas-based company produces homes with 3D printing technology that are more durable, sustainable, affordable, and livable. I am joined here with the founder, COO, Jake. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start off a little bit about yourself. You're formally educated right here at the University of Colorado in Boulder with a Bachelor of Architecture as well as Environmental Design. In the past, you have been a Chief Operating Officer, Senior Sales Partner, and Sales Team Builder, while also helping others really finance their dream home. You believe in companies that are held to a high level of integrity with what they say they can and will do. Share with us a little bit how your past really led you to conscious living.
That was a fun journey. That started back, I graduated, would have been 2005 from the University of Colorado in Boulder. Worked for an architect shortly thereafter for about 9 months.
Okay.
Custom home builder, great, unique homes. Also, I found out very interesting things about the code of building things in Boulder. Things like a shadow study, which was very shocking. What I realized is I didn't want to be, when you're in architecture school, they don't tell you really what it is when you're in the business. It's like if you get a business degree, not necessarily what you think you're doing. And a lot of the start of AutoCAD was about 6 years of being behind a computer, doing a lot of AutoCAD, some project management before you can even take your architectural license exam. So at the time, I just realized, I wanted to be more front-facing with people. So I started a business doing graphic renderings, hand 3D renderings for home builders, just again, using the architecture skill for it. And eventually went through multiple different businesses, fifth generation entrepreneur. So apparently the insanity runs deep in our blood. And eventually that led to my solar company.
Okay.
And again, I had bought solar in I think 2016 and got solar myself and realized just after that process, this needs to be done better. Just the products, the sales process, the financing, just knew it could be better. So I started the solar company, and it would have been, actually can remember, it was April 28th, so it would have been Easter Sunday of 22. And I realized, okay, I was ready to make a step, make a change, and was in a relationship, and I said, okay, I'm ready to pursue the 3D printing because a friend of mine had introduced me to the Mudbots technology about a year prior because we were in a mastermind together, and I realized, okay, well, I want to do this, and I realized nobody else out there is really doing it. So eventually started that process and actually sold my home at the time because I was actually going under market and used some of that to help finance the company, bring in the right team to bring in. So we are able to now be we're the architects and the builders of 3D printed buildings. As that's only a small part of it. There's a lot else to it. So it was it's still growing and there. So it's a fun little evolution, and inside of that was a beginning of COVID. Well, what do you do? Well, I got my mortgage license because I created the nation's first solar refi program because that was back when rates were 2% and 3%. You could easily refinance your home, get a cash out refi, pay off the solar, get the tax credit, and lower your interest rate all at the same time. Not quite where the market is right now, but it has it. So by still having my mortgage license as a home builder, we also offer in-house financing. So we have great lending rates because we're also the builder, the designer, the lender, and that's really the way it all goes, just through the relationships and collaborations and partnerships is how we're able to keep building it.
You're turned into a one-stop shop here. You're able to really serve the people out there in many areas. Obviously, the journey was interesting, like you said. I mean, conventional ways of accomplishing really anything is changing daily with the use of new technology. With that, would you say technology is affecting really every industry out there?
Absolutely. There's obviously a lot of talk with AI, and I grew up in the Terminator Matrix side where we don't trust AI. There's just
Right.
But it's finding a lot of value in it and finding the application. I think there is a lot of danger to it. I think there are some trades that are going to be more affected by technology, such as AI, than others.
Yeah.
The key is to adapt and figure out what that technology is and try to be leading the way and utilizing that technology in our own way, knowing not everybody's going to be able to, but figure out, okay, if this is my industry and here's the technology that's available or what can be available, figuring out a specific use for it, because sooner or later the technology is going to change every industry, and some of them will be going away completely.
Interesting. I mean, obviously, to show my age, I grew up before the personal computer was in every home on a desk. I mean, I can still remember buying my first bubble jet printer. Today, some homes even have 3D printers. So let's start off, first of all, explain what is a 3D printer for those folks out there that may not know.
3D printing is very simply printing in layers, and you'll see it, like you said, from small to big, and they can get really fancy, but it's really, you put in a program, usually a 3D rendered program in layers, and it just in very small layers just prints it up and just step by step. Physically prints it step by step, and different materials, depends on what you're using it for. I know that if you've ever seen, Mythbusters and some of that, they've 3D printed a suit of Iron Man armor, actually at the University of the Colorado School of Mines, and they did it out of like a titanium thing. So you can use soap. I mean, it's 3D printers are not all the same.
Yeah.
Just like, a computer or a car, there's ranges of what it can be. The little tiny ones at home, you can make little toys, a little niche,
wide variety.
Wide variety.
About
and then
personal home use all the way up to commercial. I mean, simply said, these are machines that can print a house. I mean, unlike a traditional builder, they don't take lunch breaks. Vacations, complain, or need a workman's comp insurance. So is efficiency definitely a benefit?
Yeah, but not quite in the way that you're saying.
Okay.
There is still a team, and there are other companies out there, other technologies. Icon Printers is one of those ones out there, and they're going away where they're trying to only have one or two guys on. Most of those printers can only print 3 to 12 inches a day. So when you see those, it's really only 3 to 12 inches a day is typically what a lot of them can do. And so when you see a lot of those ridges, that's why it gives it that rigid look all the way across. Our technology has a full team that's doing that, because we're doing 10-foot tall walls in a singular day with electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all done as the window's being done, cutting out the windows and doors in a single day. Depending on the size, sometimes it's maybe 2 or 3 days, depending on the size of the print, while being able to do basements, first floors, and second floors. So it's there still is a team that's necessary. That does take, they do take lunch breaks, but the speed of what they're doing is the difference. So compared to traditional stick framing, you have to frame it. You have your drywall, you have your siding, you have all these different steps. But it's about 7 trades typically for the walls that happen all in one. Well, there's no siding, there's no interior drywall.
So we're talking still a team in there working alongside with the machine that's doing the printing here. I mean,
very highly trained team.
Yeah, I mean, I interview contractors quite often, and number one challenge seems to be materials. Are 3D materials found maybe at a lower cost? And explain what material is actually being used.
So we're talking, again, just to make sure people understand, the 3D printing is essentially the wall. So there's still a lot else that you have to do in a home. I mean, you still have, finishes, appliances, countertops, roofing, a lot of other materials besides it. So a lot of what the 3D printing does is it replaces essentially the walls for the most part. So there still are a lot of steps to do. The materiality of the printer itself is a proprietary concrete, but very simply, it's cement, lime, and sand. Very inexpensive materials. Now you ought to make sure the great quality and everything else. You're not just, which some 3D printing companies, they'll just grab Quikrete that's from Home Depot. No, ours was a special blend of it, but it's essentially just concrete. That's one of the beauties of it is the materiality availability of this is not like lumber, where you have a very fluctuating market. But if you order lumber for a home, it's not the price of lumber when you order it. You pay the price of it when it's delivered. So you could have a budget for a home, and then it can get delivered, which is what started to happen over COVID a lot when there was supply chain issues. Yeah, there's a huge issue with that. Not to mention the quality of the wood these days, the reusability, the waste that happens. I mean, what most people don't know is there's a lot of that wood that gets cut off. Now, we still will use some, but it's very minimal in terms of that, depending on a lot of the other steps that somebody wants, or how we're building it specific to that project. So our materiality is a lot more available. But the speed of construction is where it really, you're taking a month, 2 months off the time minimally. That when you're talking about carry costs on the construction loan or coordinating with the trades, that's where it's a huge differentiator.
Interesting. I mean, every industry is now really environment conscious. Is 3D printing a green choice, providing us maybe some peace of mind in that area, would you say?
By itself, yeah, a little bit. where we really specialize as a home builder is there's a lot more besides just the walls.
Okay.
Windows. We use triple pane windows. If you don't have a proper seal in your window, I mean, a 16th inch gap around one window or in the seal of a window is the equivalent of a brick missing in the wall of a home. 16 quarter inch gaps is equivalent of having a back door open. So it's the benefits of the concrete is the ability to make a solid seal. Like you have a good seal around the home, but then that also comes into how are you doing the roof? You know, what insulation are you using? What are you doing? I mean, so there's a lot of other steps. That's the start of something. And when we're able to save money, time, labor, materials from the 3D printing, we can allocate that to water conservation, water purification, air purification, indoor air plus certifications, solar, batteries, energy. So we're able to give a whole home solution that is a green solution versus, hey, we slap some solar panels on there. It's great, but it doesn't really help. Hey, we have great ventilation, but then we also have health and wellness certifications. So there's no toxins or VOCs in the building, which is a massive thing. So there's various levels of what a green home is, not just passive to solar ready, but health conscious, air purification, mold and mildew resistant, or not even available. Those are the different levels that green building can really sustain.
Interesting. I mean, many moving parts out there when it comes to green anymore, like you're sharing there.
There's shades of green.
Yeah.
Is it a light green, a teal green, a dark green, a forest green? There really are different levels depending on what somebody's goals are, what their priorities are. As a builder, if it's are we trying to build something more affordable? And that's been the big gap in the cities is everybody wants green, they want energy efficient, they want more affordable, and then they make codes harder. So it's a balancing act as a lot of builders are coming up with, trying to find a solution that we feel by the 3D printing, it actually creates and solves a lot of the things that everybody else is wanting to figure out how to do.
What amazes me is the fact I was looking at your website there, and when we're talking about these are full homes, even with basements. Mm-hmm. How fast can a typical home be built in this way?
Very much depends where you're building.
Depends.
I mean, it depends on the state, the city, the jurisdiction can also. A lot of it depends on what you're building. If you want something with a basement, or if it's, we call it just a slab on grade, we just have a slab and building up. If we say typical stick frame home would take 9 to 12 months, there's likely our build time would be total between 6 to 8 months. Again, very much depending, but that's also because we're the architect and the builder. So when it gets to the construction side, the builders aren't trying to search out the architect or figure it out. We're a part of that process all the way through. That's just why we're able to speed it up. And the technology is a huge component, but our team and our people and our processes are really the major key on top of that to maximize the efficiency that the 3D printing itself provides.
I mean, so this is an efficient, many shades of green, affordable, reliable alternative way to build. What about sustainable? I mean, will these homes hold up in various weather over time, and is quality really a top priority for your team?
Well, quality is a top priority. That's part of the issue I had with architecture when I first came in, is I feel like there's the quality of a lot of the builds and that we've been building the same way for the last 100, 150 years with stick framing. Something needs to change, and we're talking just renewable, the wood that's necessary for it, but how do we build something that is going to last? Now, what do you think is stronger, masonry, concrete, or wood?
Concrete?
Usually going to be a lot, and that's why ours are fireproof, floodproof, mold-proof, vermin and insect-proof. So you don't have a lot of the ongoing maintenance issues you'll have from a sustainability, because if there's a storm, I mean, concrete that's bolted down, it's in the foundation, I mean, it's not going anywhere. Now again, worst case scenario, okay, a roof comes off, but the rest of the house is, I mean, it's usually about 4 times stronger than a CMU wall is what ours is rated at.
Interesting. Reminds me of the story of Three Little Pigs, right? Each one built different, right?
Very much.
I mean, so this is highest quality construction that meets and exceeds most of the jurisdiction building codes, and it does so providing many traditional, conventional, and modern designs. How many designs does a consumer have to choose from, and are you constantly adding?
Well, we're an architect, so everything's very customizable. One of the major benefits of this technology is live in place, or are you familiar with universal design?
Okay.
So it's a universal design, live in place as people are aging in place, wider hallways. countertops at proper height, light switches at different heights, that's more handicap and disabled accessible, flush entryways so that there's no ridge for people that may be in a wheelchair. Though the ability to simply customize it's very different because anybody can just pop out of plans and just kind of put up some walls. But it's no really different for us, but we're the architects, so we can design it and make those changes very easily, while most production builders or anywhere else, they have a whole team and process where they can't vary from it. Ours, benefit of what we love is the ability to customize and vary it depending on the project. I mean, obviously, if we're doing a row of townhomes, those are going to be a lot more limited. But if we have a customer, we're always going to customize it for what their wants and needs are. Because we could get a book of design as some inspiration, but there's not a whole lot of change in cost for us to customize it for their wants and needs.
Interesting. This is state-of-the-art design meets water conservation, energy efficient, air purification. Really checking all the boxes consumers are concerned with. What has been some of the feedback of people that have been able to experience this firsthand?
The crazy part is when it's finished, it looks like any other home. It looks like a stucco finish or dry. You can texture it however you want. I guess we'll find out in a few years as the more long-term benefits that people have as they go through a few winters, a few summers. When you don't have to be cranking in the heat or the AC or you're losing heat through places. I think the long-term was when we're going to get a lot of the feedback. But so far, people are very excited about, exactly like you mentioned, of having the type of product that they don't have to worry about the long-term maintenance from being energy efficient, not having to be pulling from the grid. I forgot to mention most of our homes, pretty much all of them are all electric only. So they all are solar powered with the battery. So in case the grid or anything goes down, they're able to be self-sustaining and energy independent. Those things, over time is when we're probably getting the best feedback of it. But looking forward, as people are seeing it, it's a lot of peace of mind. One of the first homes that we're going to be doing here shortly this summer is up in the Marshall Fire Rebuild area, and we have a couple others that we're talking to tell them you're going to have something that's completely fireproof. It eliminates those concerns or the fears that they have that traditional building and construction no longer offers. While there are other methods, a lot of them are still more expensive too, similar to insulated concrete filled and other types of construction. It solves the peace of mind and the concern they have in a new way that nobody really has to this point, feeling like that we're putting their concerns and wants at the forefront.
So really some time has to pass to really understand and fully appreciate the benefits that really what you're providing out there.
Similar to water to a fish. When they see it, it'll feel like just mostly any other home, maybe quieter when you get a new home, but to really feel those benefits, I think this is a personal, I think that's really going to be the long term when other home builders or other people in the area are having issues and they don't. That's where the real benefit, I think, is going to establish this as one of the more standard ways moving forward for construction. But there's a long way to go for that. There's hard to change an entire market, and we're not trying to take over an entire market. We're trying to take that piece and let it build and grow naturally.
Excellent. Your company chooses to only partner up with the best, like Mudbots, your existing company of Mountain Solar. Why are these alliances really kind of paramount to your end product?
From a solar standpoint, it's great having a solar company. Same thing with lending. By being able to do it in-house, we can save a little bit to the customer while providing a top-tier product. So you need to have a lender for a 3D printed home. Well, we have one of the few institutions that have actually done loans for 3D printed homes while providing great construction rates. Well, why wouldn't we want to bring that in-house to be able to offer it? Same thing with solar. If we can provide a top-tier product and be able to manage it, now granted, it's the start. And I'll mention one more company we're a part of, which is Atencio, Novus, which is where we office out of. It's one of our major partners. They do affordable housing at a very large scale. They do much larger developments than what we do. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more work that we combine in a lot more. We're now the 3D printing branch of what they do. But they have a lot of similar partnerships from cabinets and flooring and countertops and like custom cabinets. The ability to partner with organizations like that we have the same mutual goals, technically in the same industry, but at very different levels. How do we collaborate what we do with what they do so everybody wins? Company motto is, when everybody wins. So you find the right people with the right products to be able to work on versus you're going to spend half your time trying to go out there and find those vendors or find those partnerships, and they're going to end up costing more. and you find people that are up to the same mission, it's a lot easier and a lot more fun to be working together.
So it takes a village to raise a great home, and that's what you're doing with those other companies out there. Jake, concrete printing is being utilized all over the world. While some are just learning of this disruptive technology, you and your team are leading the way and educating about its undeniable benefits. Has this been rewarding work for you?
Maybe one day.
Challenging work for you.
It's very challenging. I mean, when you're pioneering, you're going to get some arrows in your back. You're going to have some learning lessons. I guess it's so much still in it in a lot of ways where I haven't really had the chance to like sit back. I mean, there's a lot of the little rewards come, but I think the real rewarding part, I mean, that's a generation away. I mean, that's where I feel like that reward is, because we have to be focused on what needs to be happening in the moment to continue doing that and expanding it to grow. I mean, it's a growing industry. We want to be at the cutting edge and with our partners that are doing the 3D printing and the technologies as that's growing. I guess the reward will be there. But that's not really where the mind is in there. So it's a great question, but maybe I need to focus on celebrating those little rewards a little bit more in the meantime. But we're really out for those long-term rewards for people, 10, 20 years.
So obviously your journey continues.
Oh, yeah.
Where it ends, for sure. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, learn how this merging of really 3D technology and traditional building methods produces homes that are more durable, sustainable, affordable, and livable. Once again, that is conscious living, design and build. The future is here. Conscious infrastructure for today. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.